Do parents have the right to know about their teen's intimate life? Should kids be allowed to keep secrets that could jeopardize their well-being? If asked on the street, what would you say? This may be the most difficult and awkward topic to have between a teenager and their parents. Therefore, let's break it down into parts. Is birth control given to a teenager without parental consent against constitutional rights? What are people saying who argue with parental consent or against parental consent? And what is the possible solution and some facts to tie it all up? So, are teens entitled to privacy when it comes to obtaining contraceptives? According to federal law, teens do have the right to obtain and use birth control products without parental permission. The constitutional right to privacy protects adolescents' access to and use of contraception, and Medicaid explicitly prohibits parental consent requirements for teens who are seeking contraception. Of course, a boy or girl can walk into any drugstore and buy a package of condoms, no problem. But a girl needs a doctor's prescription to obtain birth control pills or any other female contraceptive product. Even though she can legally do so without informing her parents, do her parents still have the responsibility to make sure she makes the right decision about her sex life? Or would that be an invasion of her own privacy? Let's ask the people what they think. According to debate.org, out of the 13 who posted their views on the question, should teens be required to have parents' permission to obtain birth control, to me this was a surprise. Only 3 said yes. Out of the 3 who said yes, argued parental permission should be necessary on the reason that if it was easier to access birth control, then it was easier to have sex. They argued teenagers need to learn the responsibility to be able to look their parents and store clerks in the eye about the matter. Another who said yes believed that teenagers are minors. Therefore, it is up to the parents to make the decisions to prevent the child from choosing contraceptions that could be harmful to their body. A third argued the facts on how the United States has the highest teen pregnancy rate in the industrialized world, and if parental consent is enforced, this number will be reduced. The majority who argued against believe that teens should be responsible for their own bodies. After all, they are not far from adulthood. They also believe that teens who are going to engage in sex won't choose abstinence if they are afraid of asking their parents for birth control, and instead they will choose to engage in unprotected sex if they have to. Also, they argue that the subject is just too difficult for teenagers to talk to with their parents, and it shouldn't be made even more difficult by forcing them. So goodness, what's the answer? Many teenagers do not want to talk to their parents about their sex life, and many parents believe that their children should tell them everything. I personally believe giving the talk, the great famous talk, to preteens or early teenagers will guide the teenagers to make the right decisions. I say this out of personal experience. I emphasize this. Not only that, but the facts say, according to National Campaign to Prevent Teen Pregnancy, NCPTP, approximately 1 million young women and men between ages of 15 and 19 will become teen parents each year. I believe the key is to have age-appropriate conversations with your children about sex before they reach adolescence. This makes sure that they are aware of not only safe sex options, but emotional readiness for intimacy. When preteens or teenagers ask, "Why shouldn't I have sex with someone I love or feel close to?" parents should be prepared with these answers. Upon discovering contraceptives in a teen's backpack, a parent of a 13-year-old will be much more upset than a parent of a 17-year-old or an 18-year-old, right? This scenario emphasizes the need for talking to young teens about sex. The talk gives all the information a teenager needs about sex and contraceptives. Even if it is awkward for both parties, they need to be guided by their parents. Giving all the guidance a child needs will help them make the right decisions in the future, so give them the facts. It's always important to be aware of these facts. According to the Center of Reproductive Rights, research shows that requiring minors to tell their parents before they access contraceptions delays or prevents them from ever seeking reproductive health services, but this does not reduce sexual activity. Crazy! This is one that I did not know. So when teenagers do not seek reproductive health services, they give up not only contraceptive services, but also testing and treatment for the sexually transmitted infections, routine exams, and other treatments. Consequently, the nation's medical and public health organizations consistently oppose the forced parent involvement in minors' efforts to seek contraception. Therefore, my point is, regardless of which side we take, we should never keep our own views about sexuality and the facts about contraception a secret. The answer is to talk to your child. A parent's goal is to give them all the knowledge and guidance they need to be able to make the right decisions in the future. It is against the Constitution to deny a person access to contraception, but it is better they can protect themselves than face the consequences of unprotected sex, even if they are too young or, good gracious, cannot fight their urges. Most who argued on this topic chose to negate parental consent. Those in favor argued teenagers would have sex more often if they had access to contraceptives, that teenagers need to face the world and take responsibility of their actions, and parents should be involved to prevent damaging of their child's body from birth control. Those who argued against parental consent believe that teenagers are almost adults, and therefore they should be making decisions like an adult. They believe that teenagers will engage in sex regardless, so it's better to be protected, and the conversation is just too hard for teenagers, and therefore other ways to access information should be available. Talking to teenagers is what I recommend. Too much information is never a bad thing. Therefore, parents should never keep their children in the dark about sex and the facts about contraception. I hope this sheds some light on some things. Thank you for watching.